What is the most difficult thing working with the clients to help them get to their goals? What is the frustrating or the hard parts that you find just as a coach? Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. I'm your host, Raymond Elliott, lead personal trainer at Go Time Training in Northeast Wichita, Kansas. I've been in the fitness industry for over 20 years now, and I've seen it all. This podcast cuts through all the fads and gimmicks to give you a science-based truth on all things fitness and nutrition, so you don't have to try to figure it out on your own. If you want to live happier and healthier and get the scoop on how to work out, eat right, and keep a positive mindset, you're in the right place. It's go time. Now, let's get to the show. All right, we're back. Healthy Living Wichita. Yeah, so little different today. It's earlier than our normal one, so I'm still been awake for a little while, and it's been raining outside, so we're going to try to come with the energy, but we have Casey back. So I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure you've watched every podcast, but she was our first guest. So we're honored to have Casey, our nutritionist, back. But just in case the few people out of the hundreds of thousands that watched it didn't get to know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, so I'm the nutrition coach at Go Time Training here. Been nutrition coach here for 2.5 years, and just have coached people with new nutrition and exercise and stuff for the past 5 years or so.
Yeah. Awesome. Got my coffee, just so that was what we were waiting on before we started. So as a nutrition coach, obviously we talked a little bit with Jennifer last time, and we were just talking about like kind of her new role in that. And I was going over a little bit just how difficult it is as a personal trainer. I get to actually have interactions. I know those people are working out for those hours. And it's difficult as a nutritionist because you're meeting with people. Obviously, you're keeping in contact via email and other aspects, but they're trying to get them to continuously do those things outside here, and it's just hard as a nutritionist. So I'm trying to think of like what do you feel like your role being that? Why is it so beneficial? Why does people see so much better results working with somebody like you? Than say they're just figuring it out on their own or trying to, God forsake, read something on the social media
Yeah.
or going through those aspects. Why do you think having a nutritionist is so important for so much success, which you've had with a lot of our clients, some of my favorite ones?
Yeah.
Alex Tillman. Told him I was going to plug him in there.
Yeah, Alex.
See, got him in there. Got him in there.
Yeah, so the main things, obviously, some education. That's what they're coming to me for initially, but normally the biggest thing that I provide and any nutrition coach and personal trainer will provide is just the accountability of doing it day in, day out, doing it when you don't want to, because that's kind of the big thing. You can do things when you're motivated, but when you're not motivated is when you need to stick with it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things. People think that they have to do things when they're motivated. I'm waiting to exercise when I'm motivated, but it really isn't, because motivation's an ebb and flow, right? So you're not always going to be motivated. I know for myself, and certain circumstances are. I think that's one of the biggest things. I always kind of get scared a little bit with my clients because they see great results, and then you start to get those diminishing returns, right? Everything's going to be a little bit more in the beginning, which is yay, lots of celebration. But when you start to see that slow down, I'm always like, okay, here's when it really gets tricky. Changing your lifestyle, making those new habits is extremely difficult, but it's even more when you have to continue that process on for a little while. And I think that's probably where a big part of having somebody, hey, we still got to do this, and you still got to stay on track, and you still got to do these things. Here's some things that you can do and remotivate somebody and get them excited. Do you see that as a second board? Do you see like when somebody is going through, their accountability starts to slide? Is that a common thing as people do nutrition, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously when people start, they're normally pretty motivated, and it's really easy to stick to something when you feel that motivated, and then initially you see results really quickly, so that's really motivating in and of itself.
Right.
But then typically real life hits, and it kind of depends how long in that happens, at what point that happens, but maybe progress is slowed a little bit. Events come up, and you're wanting to enjoy those more. So yeah, it's normally motivation's really high, and then it kind of comes down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to develop, really create those habits, especially in the beginning, to stick with those long term. And that's why it's important to start with something that you can do long term.
Yeah, sustainability helps out a lot. So if you have something that you can actually do, that is something that is not overly difficult and complex. So that's a lot of people, they start off with something that's really crazy, like completely getting rid of a certain macronutrient or doing something very low calorie or something very restrictive. That's obviously going to have its own thing because you can only do that for so long before you go crazy.
Yeah.
But even something sustainable is still, because I do a flexible dieting, so I feel like I do something that is pretty easy to maintain. It's still very difficult for me to continuously do well without starting to overeat and overconsume for a long period of time.
Yeah, so that's where accountability helps. I meet with clients weekly, but sometimes I have some clients that they send me their stuff daily just to keep them motivated. It might not be something they do forever, obviously, but if it's something that we need to do to keep their motivation up, to keep them going, then that's what we'll do.
Excellent. Yeah. So I always try to provide, this, we're doing this to help out the community of Wichita is our big thing, or any surrounding people or the world, wherever anybody's listening. But that's our main goal, is to help the community of Wichita. That's what our mission here at Go Time Training is. So we want to be an extension of that. So for people out there that say they just can't get with a nutrition coach, so that's probably, if I ask you what are some things to stay accountable, you'll say, well, get you a support system, get you a coach, get you somebody. Yeah. I think we see that for business, finances, fitness. But do you have some tips to help somebody that just says, hey, how do I keep myself accountable, or may help out if they have a nutrition coach because they still got those hours a day that they're by themselves?
Yeah. So I would say two things. One, commit to something or someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a nutrition coach, but if you tell like a friend or a family member, hey, I'm doing this, and just have them periodically check in, just say, hey, how are you doing with this? They don't have to be super knowledgeable, but just having your goal out there, it holds you a lot more accountable to it. If there is like a challenge you could join or something, you could always do that. That could be the something that you commit yourself to. And then second thing is don't overcommit. So if you don't do any exercise right now and you don't really watch your nutrition, don't go from that to say, okay, I'm going to work out 7 days a week and eat super low calorie. Right. Don't overcommit. Do something that you can commit to for at least 30 days, but you really want it to be something you can commit to long term.
Yeah, so don't go balls to the wall. Is that the layman's term? That yeah, and a lot of people do that. It's like from one extreme to the next, like I said, because a lot of we make emotional decisions based off motivation. Some trigger points, something has happened where like today's the day, and then we try to go crazy, and then we're just like, okay, and we hit the wall. And weight loss is slow. It's not a fast thing. I think that's one of the biggest things. Even for myself, I get frustrated when I want to lose weight. I'm just like, I want to be 4% body fat by tomorrow. Yeah. And it just doesn't happen that way. And I'm starting from not too much of a high percentage in the beginning. So it's a slow race.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because it doesn't necessarily matter how much knowledge you have with nutrition and exercise and stuff. Anyone needs accountability. You, me. Yeah. If you don't know anything, if you're an expert in it, everyone can use accountability.
Yeah, well, I think we were just having that conversation earlier where I tell people, like, I have a pretty good knowledge of nutrition. I've worked with many, many people. I've researched it myself. But even when I did my own contest prep, I hired a nutritionist just because I knew that myself personally, I might not make the same decisions subjectively looking in. Like I might have slashed calories a lot more because I didn't see results that day, where my coach was like, no, you're trending down nicely. Let's keep it the same. Or, I might have just like, oh, well, I haven't lost weight. I'm going to start adding 5 days of cardio. And he's like, nope, we're going to continue doing this. So it's really nice to have a coach to help you out with that. So you stay something sustainable and you don't start to go crazy.
Yeah. We get emotional when it's ourselves, but it's nice to have an outside perspective so they can stay objective to the goals.
Yeah. So when people hit plateaus, which is very common, right? I actually was just talking to my students. We're talking more about in the fitness aspect. So we're talking about diminishing returns. As you get closer to your genetic potential, you start to make less gains, which can be very demotivating for a lot of our clients. And sometimes that's thrown back on us. Like, hey, when we started in the beginning, I saw these results and I've been working with you this long and I haven't seen any results. And like, that's natural. Mm-hmm. Having a coach is great because you by yourself might not be able to make those changes. But what happens when clients in nutrition, they see a plateau is there things that they need to know to break through that, or how do they keep from just like, oh, I haven't seen any more results, I'm giving up. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now, and I'm doing the same diet that Dr. Oz said to do, and I'm doing ketones or whatever. I don't know, coffee ketones, whatever there is, slim.
Well, typically we'll adjust
Tea.
nutrition, but it might be if it's to a point where they just really can't stay. Like if we've been dieting for a while and, we just really can't stick to the diet anymore, then it might be time for kind of a diet break, just kind of maintain for a bit. Not gaining weight back, but just maintaining, just kind of living life a little bit more casually, and then go back down to a diet if we want to do that again.
That's a great thing. That's just for me personally. I don't even care about the podcast anymore. But how do because I have a lot of clients like that where I sometimes feel that they need a diet break, or they need a diet break before they really even started, just because they've been going that long, but they want results. So I have this push to like, gosh, I got to get this person to lose weight, but really, they probably need a diet break to help their metabolism out, get their mind right a little bit more. How do you get somebody involved in that? Because sometimes it's very difficult for people to like, hold it, you want me to like eat more calories or relax a little bit, and I want to lose weight. Like I still got a goal here. How do you talk to people into that? So I can write. Hang on, where's my notebook? I guess this is recorded, so I can replay that. But
Yeah.
Is that a tough conversation for people out there? They're probably like, "What the hell's a diet break, and why would I ever need that?" So maybe we can have a two-parter. You can help answer my question, but explain what a diet break is a little bit.
Yeah, diet break is you're just increasing calories just a little bit so that you are now maintaining instead of in a calorie deficit to lose weight. And since calories are a little higher, I kind of mentioned, you have more wiggle room to add in, to go to more events and enjoy yourself a little bit more than you can when you're in a calorie deficit.
A little bit more flexible.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it just helps mentally, helps your body physically, just to kind of reduce stress and, mentally feel a little bit better too. So, but yeah, those are always tough conversations to have. I normally kind of bring it up. It might be a couple appointment type thing where we talk about it a little bit more and more, especially, but normally when I bring it up, they're just really hitting a wall. And so it is difficult, but at that point,
they're also okay with
they're like,
hey,
okay,
let's try something different.
I've been hitting a wall for a while. Let's take a step back. And I kind of ease their minds too. We'll slowly increase calories too, so that we can find that maintenance point, but also just really make sure that they're not gaining any weight.
Is it difficult that once, because when I was working with a coach, I had a refeed day, and I know that like after that refeed day, sometimes it was hard to go back to a regular day.
Yeah.
After, a diet break, and who knows how, exactly how long they do that. Is it difficult to get back on track?
For some it can be.
But for most it's not.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on the person. Yeah. As almost every answer.
Well, I just know for myself, once I get off track, like it's winter time and I start like, justifying, I'm bulking, which really just means I'm going to eat like crap for a little while and put on some body fat. But it's hard sometimes for that transition back. A lot of times I'll give myself a mental like, hey, this month you're just trying to get back on diet, because I know I'm going to be kind of up and down until one day I just, for some reason, it locks in and then I'm good. But that's me personally. But so I'm always a little scared of that just with my own clients. Like if we've been consistently working this, I've been like trying to get you here. We've been doing that for a while, which is great. Now I'm going to ask you to kind of slowly get back out of it, which we want to do for everybody eventually, right? Nobody's going to be in caloric deficit forever or diet forever. Eventually we want to get to a point, and most people, even if they have large weight loss goals, should have some pretty long diet breaks in that journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just kind of a scary thing, I think, for people, and sometimes I think even ourselves.
Yeah. And then just like how you kind of ease into the diet break with calories, you can always ease back into it.
So slowly
diet.
add and then slowly take back out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great studies on that. I was seeing those with like diet breaks, or what's another term? There's another term they use for it.
Reverse dieting.
Reverse dieting, yeah, those things. But yeah, we're showing that there was actually, it took longer because there was those breaks, but there was actually more weight loss during the caloric deficit aspects of those. So it yielded and they were doing like every other week or something like that in that study. So there's benefits to it. Doesn't mean justification to go into, well, I'm just going on a little diet break right now.
Yeah.
But sometimes for clients they're accidental. So instead of me putting on clients on diet breaks, they have those accidental diet breaks. I'm like, that's fine. You've been off track for a couple of weeks. Let's get back on track. But
Yeah.
When the purpose, so when you actually have data, that always is beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if that's anything that we're supposed to talk about today, but diet breaks is a great topic. I think it's really, really good for people to kind of learn, because that's probably a foreign concept to, I would say. You don't see a lot of data, at least being pushed on social media.
Yeah.
It's slim teas and ketogenics.
None of those diets are talking about diet breaks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So accountability, is there anything else that for accountability for people? I mean, you said having a coach is good. I imagine revisiting your why is probably a good thing for accountability, or having something that reminds you of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, an intrinsic goal. It's something that you really want, not you're not doing it for someone else. You have to really want it for yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have some of my own photos. Events was always good for me. Like I said, I always tell people your goals dictate the strictness of your diet. And when I was doing a contest prep, I was really pretty strict, but that's because I was going to be in some undies on a stage of 10 other dudes. Why judges literally judged my body. You talk about being judged. People are literally writing down and scoring the way it looks, and you have a crowd of people. That's pretty good motivation, but just to like look a good, while I'm at Dylan's is a little different. I think, we should all base our weight loss and goals off health, not cosmetics, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah. But yeah, so those goals took two different kind of diet plans, and two different motivations. So I think it's, if you have some kind of event or some kind of thing that you're looking for, is try to find the motivation in that, set something up. Because when I don't have a goal, it's really difficult for me to, I'm married, I'm 40. I have less cosmetic goals. Now I'm focusing a little bit more on the health aspects, but health aspects, I don't have to be as lean as I was before. So sometimes I get frustrated with it, because I'd like to be that way. Yeah. But it's hard for me because I don't have the motivation to. So anyways, that saying, it's good to have like some kind of set goals and come back to those, I imagine. And
committing
having dates
to something, or to someone, and doing something you can do long term.
Yeah, as we said, like challenges are probably good. That kind of will put you into at least a goal for that period. It's just after that is like, what's the next goal, and what's the next thing that you have to do. Yeah. Do you find like your clients' goals change a lot, or are they pretty relatively the same?
They're relatively the same. I mean, if they hit their goal weight or something, then the goal is now to maintain. Yeah. And unless they decide to do like a race or something like that, then. But yeah, I would say goals pretty much. Yeah, we had stay consistent. Two
runners on last time. You know how much I love running. Yeah, I always talk about how much I love running, but they're doing 135-mile ultra runners. That's crazy. And we were just talking a little bit that it's hard when you're working with people because cosmetic goals and performance goals are a lot of times two different things. Oh, getting a text message. Who didn't shut that off? But those are it's probably Shannon. I'm just joking. Those are totally two different goals, and sometimes that's really difficult to be able to try to do both, like make sure that you have high performance and enough fuel, but also try to get cosmetic at the same time and lose weight. And it's even difficult when we're trying to push people through PRs and strength, or we're trying to make people gain muscle and strength during a deficit, which I know personally for myself, I lose a little bit, but maybe I need a personal trainer. Yeah, so there you go. So obviously, as a nutrition coach, what do you find is the most difficult thing working with clients? And I'm not talking about like a certain person that you just, Sarah gets on. No, I'm just saying, like, what is the most difficult thing working with the clients to help them get to the goals? What is the frustrating or the hard parts that you find just as a coach? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to accountability.
Yeah, it's got to be
because, motivation's always there at the beginning normally, but then it kind of tapers off. And so just getting people to realize it takes discipline to get where you want to go. If you only do things when you're motivated, you're not going to get anywhere. So just once the motivation has kind of gone down, trying to figure out what we can do, what that person can do to that's realistic, but will also get them to their goals. Yeah. And just getting them to stick to that too and commit to themselves can be the challenging part.
I think that's hard. I think that's the hardest part as a personal trainer too, trying to keep your clients motivated. It's a big part of it. Like I said, I can kind of push them during a workout. You have just those small moments with them, and you're trying to keep them through that. So that's really hard because they come back in like, oh, well, same thing as last week. So let's recap and try this again, and let's go over these different aspects. So that would be that would be very difficult. It does have a lot to do with them, but that's why having somebody like you to keep them accountable is probably one of the biggest things they can do. Like I was saying to you before, like I tell people like to hope that I'm extremely smart in all this education, which with nutrition I think is even more important because it's so complex and you need somebody to help you muddle through. But it's really just the fact of them coming in and doing it. So it's just a fact of them doing nutrition and looking at those aspects and doing that part is extremely beneficial. But having somebody to keep them accountable to it is probably the biggest aspect to it. I know I have had nutrition clients in the past that did everything I said and followed it to a T. And I've had people that was very much of a struggle and up and down, and you can probably imagine who really got the great results and was good on those. So that's a little tip for everybody. Listen to Casey when she tells you something. Trust in the process.
Yep.
And then go from there. Is there anything else that you want to add to the accountability or aspects too?
I don't think so. Just
early this morning.
Just having someone or something to commit to, and then not going balls to the wall like you said.
Okay, so have a support system. It doesn't have to be a nutrition coach, even though we have a lovely one here. If you want to contact us, you can also always leave comments when this is on Facebook if you have questions or more concerns or want to know how to get involved with something like that. But if not, at least letting somebody know your goals and should you ask them like, hey, here's my goals, can you help me? Can you support me on this?
Yeah. So,
hopefully that's a spouse, but, that can sometimes not always be. But have somebody that cares, that wants to support you on those. And then what was the other one?
Don't overcommit.
Don't overcommit. Got it. So do that and don't overcommit. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Yeah. Thank you so much. We got to go back to work. You got to help more people. When's your next person?
9 o'clock, I think.
9 o'clock. All right. Me too. I actually have a nutrition consult, my one and only. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much. Hopefully that helps you out. But obviously, I think the big takeaways from this is accountability. Obviously, is huge to that. Motivation is going to be an ebb and flow. And like she said, don't overcommit. Don't go balls to the walls. Start off with bases, make some small changes, and I think those are huge. And keep going. And you also might need a diet break. So
yeah, maybe.
Ask more questions on that. That might be something that you need to help keep you going. So anyways, thank you so much. I now have to go learn how to shut off the camera because Andrea's gone. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Living Wichita podcast with Go Time Training. If you enjoyed today's show and want to get started with your own fitness journey, I'd love to help kickstart your goals. How do 4 60-minute personal training sessions for $99 with me sound? Head over to www.gotimetraining.com/podcast to claim yours. I can't wait to meet you.